Hi, my name is Professor Owlstein. Welcome to my channel. Let's start. Imagine being trapped inside your own body while something else takes the wheel. This isn't a sci-fi movie. It is the daily reality for the victims of the horsehair worm. Scientists have just discovered that this parasite didn't just evolve to control its host. It actually stole the host's DNA to do it. Welcome to a world where the scariest monsters aren't the biggest, just the most cunning. Today, we are diving deep into the life of the horsehair worm, a real-life, mind-controlling parasite that turns insects into literal puppets. For decades, the way these worms forced their hosts into fatal situations was a total mystery. But thanks to groundbreaking research from 2023, we finally have the answers to how this biological hacker operates. Let's start at the beginning of this sinister journey. The horsehair worm, or Nematomorpha, begins its life as a microscopic egg at the bottom of a stream or pond. When these eggs hatch, the tiny larvae are far too small to do any damage on their own. Instead, they play the long game. They get eaten by small aquatic insects, essentially hitchhiking inside their bodies. When a larger land predator, like a praying mantis or a cricket, comes along and eats that smaller insect, the trap is set. The mantis has no idea it has just swallowed a master manipulator. Once inside, the worm doesn't kill the mantis. If it did, it would lose its home and its meal. Instead, it enters a phase of silent growth. For weeks or even months, the larva quietly absorbs nutrients directly through the host's body. It grows and grows, coiling itself tighter and tighter inside the mantis's abdomen. By the time the worm is mature, it can be up to 2 meters long. That is several times the length of the host itself, packed into a space that shouldn't be able to hold it. But here is where the story takes a truly dark turn. The adult worm needs to return to the water to mate and lay its own eggs. The problem is that its host lives on land and generally avoids water at all costs. To bridge this gap, the parasite has to perform a total takeover of the host's nervous system. This brings us to the most incredible discovery of 2023. Researchers using advanced RNA sequencing found that these worms are the ultimate genetic thieves. Through a process called horizontal gene transfer, the worms have actually borrowed thousands of genes directly from their hosts over millions of years. This allows the worm to mimic the host's own proteins. By producing these fake proteins, the parasite can interfere with the host's brain signals without the host's immune system ever sounding the alarm. It is a master-level hack of the biological source code. Once the worm has control, it induces a state called phototaxis. It changes how the host perceives light, specifically making it attracted to reflective surfaces. In the wild, the most reflective surface is the top of a pond or a stream. The infected mantis, now completely disoriented and acting against every survival instinct it has, begins a march toward the water. The parasite releases chemicals that disrupt the brain, leaving the mantis confused and drawn toward the shimmer of the pond. When the host finally reaches the edge, it doesn't hesitate. It takes a fatal plunge into the water. As the mantis begins to drown, the horsehair worm senses the environment change. It bursts out of the host's body in a dramatic and brutal display of freedom. The worm swims away to find a mate, leaving the empty shell of its host behind. It's a process that looks like psychological warfare, because in many ways it is. But beyond the horror, there's an evolutionary brilliance here. The horsehair worm isn't just a parasite. It's a bridge between species. By proving that DNA can jump from host to hunter, it challenges everything we thought we knew about evolution. It proves that in nature, it isn't just the survival of the fittest that matters, but the survival of the most connected. This genetic identity thief reminds us that sometimes the most sophisticated technology on the planet isn't made of silicon and wires, but of proteins and stolen code. Thanks for being here. If you like this video, subscribe to the channel and tap the bell for more amazing content. Until next time, stay curious.